Okay, it's been a while, but we're gonna talk about Mara stock. It did go closer to five. It didn't break below $5. I'm gonna go ahead and break this down into more detail because it's been too long since we covered it, and there is a lot of interesting things happening that's further, pushing the stock lower. So I'm gonna share my opinions with you guys. I'm gonna be focusing a lot on Bitcoin and the S&P throughout this year. A lot of covered calls and just a lot of swing trading, mainly on the S&P, a lot of covered calls on Bitcoin until it finally comes down lower. And I'll give you guys show you guys what I mean by that in a moment. But, throughout the last handful, many videos on Mars stock that we covered, we were able to capture. And I know there's a lot going on here. I like to leave my notes. On the chart. But what we have here is calling out these accumulation zones, take profit, blue and green. I'm going to break this down for anyone that's new, and then we're going to get forward onto what I'm looking at now. So throughout that time, we captured small fluctuations. We captured accumulation points with take profits. And I don't know if I said it, guys, but remember, everything I say is my own opinion going forward. This is what I'm doing. Please do your own due diligence. But we captured a nice deeper value area, highlighting imbalance as take profit opportunity. Second accumulation zone before we hit it filled nicely, and then we came down into another accumulation zone, take profit, accumulation zone, two opportunities, take profit. It worked out very, very nicely. 3 trades throughout that time frame. This is from, I would say about mid 2025, a little earlier, all the way up towards the end of 2026 when Bitcoin finally hit our target, but I'm going to get into that in a moment. Regardless, it did what it had to do, 3 trades averaging 40% each. A lot of opportunity, right? But now going forward, what matters is understanding, and I kept, at least warning everyone that I'm kind of stepping back away from Bitcoin when it comes to strong, long positions because, and this is going to make sense. This is going to make sense right now. Our main target area is a lot going on, but it was around 115K. It broke past it during that time. I mean, there's a ton of videos on it. It's just a lot of stuff here to go over again. But during that time, a lot of short-term trading to capture any more small moves higher, reducing long exposure, as understanding that this bull run has lasted quite a while. According to the cycle, it's just better to be more cautious than overly optimistic, especially when we reached our target zone already, and it stretched nicely into it, giving us a lot of time to exit positions or at least reduce the amount of exposure. Maybe look at it to something else, maybe just a money market fund or so on. But right now, before I jump into Bitcoin real quick, Mara stock, we still have a bit more downside to go. After this happened, and I said SLs, in my opinion, and I'm sure all of you agree as well, SLs are very important. They prevent, too much red if we do have a break of structure in this case, and I highlighted this so much because I just like to put reminders out there. I've been tracking this for a while. We had this swing low that will invalidate this uptrend from continuing to go any further higher. At that moment, when we reach this zone, and I explained to you guys back then what I mean by this purple line is where we are trading in discounted value, but due to over time, Mara stock, and I'm going to show you guys something real quick as well. Mara stock is focused on the bigger picture, on sustainability rather than pleasing the shareholders. So with that being said, they did recently sell over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. This is, and you guys can do research on this, but they're funding a lot of new investments with AI and so on to really help the business in the long term. So with this reducing their balance sheet when it comes to how much Bitcoin they're holding, this should influence and make it a lot more probable that we will actually break below that $5 price point. So I am bearish, and not just because of that article. I've been talking about when we do go down lower, eventually when we break the swing low, which we did, there's no reason to do any more technicals at this point. I mean, you can even throw in there a retracement from the high and the bottom, from the high all the way down to the bottom, and we are in retreat, a resistance territory. There's no reason to be overly optimistic. If Bitcoin decides to go up higher, which at this point I'm going to get into it, but I expect it to go up a little bit higher in the short term after some fluctuations. it's something we just have to understand, that it doesn't matter how optimistic we are in these assets, at least in the long term. In the short term, something else is playing out, right? So finally, we got invalidated. I've been watching this very, very closely, waiting to see what's forming, waiting to see if we have a proper retracement, because of course, from the high down to here, it never got filled. If we keep following it lower, every time it jumps up higher, it never gets filled. We finally are seeing that. This doesn't mean we're going to go up higher. This just means we finally have a nice shorting opportunity, especially with the RSI being so high, topping out, trying to find it's topping out and trying to find a top within this retracement zone. I've used the same strategy. I focus a lot on these investor sentiment retracement zones all the time. There's just, it's worked so well, right? And we're above the 120 moving average. This is quite overextended in the short term. Now, what I'm focusing on is continuing to wait for this to come down lower. So yeah, there is some shorting opportunity, but we are going, at least until we reach that 0.5 at the most. I'm not too optimistic on shorts right now. But the point I'm trying to make is, if we go over to Bitcoin real quick, I am looking for this bigger picture. And we kind of had something similar to this in the past, but this bigger picture ascending support line, backed up by this simple extension. And it's going to be easier if I show you guys here real quick. It's an extension factoring in these smaller moves, these smaller corrective moves within downtrend. Now, the reason it brings it all the way down here is because none of these moves, there's just no reason to really consider, at least in my opinion, no reason to consider these worthy. It never broke into it here. It never did. If we keep following it lower, I mean, that's where this one comes in. It's overlapping. I'm waiting for this to fill a bit more. We can see some fluctuations in the short term, any descending, any weakness in the price. As you can see, we can come down mid 75K, 76K roughly. There's some liquidity zones there to watch, but we can easily see this occur. And not just that, simple, if you guys like support lines, simple support lines, as you can see, overlap nicely with this zone. When you got the 120 moving average also on there. And again, this is, if you guys can't tell, it's the 1 day candles. So we have a nice opportunity for the price to just want to either find support somewhere here, go up higher, or go up higher directly before we come down, finally finish a proper corrective move higher, where it actually fills in the retracement before coming down lower, bottoming out this bear market, eventually continuing to respect this ascending support line. Now, this support line can be drawn a little bit more aggressively. It can be a little higher. It depends, because if you draw it a little higher, it also gives you a chance not just to take advantage of like potential sub 50K or even in the 50s, but sub 50K levels, where, in my opinion, this should be deep value at this point. That's what I'm really focusing on. Any price below the trend line would just be amazing. It'll be a no-brainer buying opportunity. Last time we had these no-brainer buying opportunities, I mean, I had one over here. We had a really, really strong opportunity there. There was another one right here. And then this one ended up failing because it never was able to, it ended up respecting, and I spread some caution there, but never ended up breaking through it. Ended up respecting the retracement to go down lower. But again, we already filled these areas. These longs were not as aggressive as they were in the past. But these deep value zones, especially this one, it was really, really good as well. This one was nice too. So this is the next major one I'm looking at. So as of right now, a lot of covered calls on Bitcoin, and I'm waiting for the S&P to also have a decent retracement. I'll cover that in the future. But I'm going to be doing a lot of testing on these charts throughout the next few days to keep things in check. But until then, none of this matters. I mean, I might leave it there just for reference. But we're looking for a retracement, finish this off, go down lower. How this affects Mara stock is, anyone that's being aggressively long right now, it's just, in my opinion, that's dangerous. Because we can easily, if Bitcoin decides to fill this a little bit more, goes it to around 90K or 93K, tries to fill in that 0.5 retracement, which in that case, I will label this a proper retracement. We tried doing one here. It never did. It never was able to reach it at 103.4K. So at this point, if it just declines, well, I'm just looking for this to finally break below 5 because that's going to also resemble similar value, at least in my opinion, when it comes to Bitcoin finishing this corrective move down here. We still got to wait for that to happen. But yeah, I'm just doing covered calls for now while still keeping long exposure, but no more than 50%. I don't want to be over 50% on any, like, for example, iBit holdings. I don't want to be over 50% covered calls on them. So I want to keep a lot of the exposure there for just trying to hedge it, right? That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to hedge it. There's no reason to be aggressive with it. We had a really, really, really good 2025. I'm in no rush. So yeah, so as of right now, we're waiting to see if this is going to fill, but regardless, it's a waiting game. If the price breaks over 15, hits that 0.5, breaks over it, then yeah, shorting becomes a lot more of a good idea. But as of right now, it's just waiting to see if that happens or letting the stock finally fall. It can respect the 120 moving average. It can have, if it decides to fall from here, bounce off the 120 moving average. It can cause a lot of FOMO because then, oh, we're going to bounce, but it can just be a, as you can see, one of those patterns, right? A little bit of a textbook head and shoulders pattern. That's what I'm focusing on, is letting this do its thing, letting Bitcoin do its thing, finally finish off this bear market. Eventually, it's going to take some time, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities during that time. But it's waiting for this to come down, drop, and then go below $5. I'm kind of targeting $3 right now at the moment as a very strong opportunity to accumulate Mara. But until then, just because we came down and we broke below this swing low doesn't mean we bottom. To me, all that tells me is, hey, we have enough strong momentum to break down below this swing low right here and then revisit previous prices around $3, well below $5. This is going to, in my opinion, is super likely. It's just going to take some time to play out. This is why we got to focus on other assets until this happens. There's no reason to over leverage. It's not worth your time, right? Like, let these positions actually show their value. As of right now, downtrend, we broke below this strong bearish momentum. RSI topping out right within resistance zone. Let's see if we can reach that 0.5. If not, we just go lower. That's the overall view. They both lead into the same direction. So with this being said, until that happens, because it's just a corrective move. We never had a proper corrective move during this whole time. We're finally having one. Now, again, just to finish off, this falls in very much perfectly in line. I'll redraw this if I have to. It's just too much to look at right now. But just too much going on the chart. I'm trying to avoid all of that. You can't even see the chart itself. So yeah, we're trying to see this corrective move play out because we never had a 0.5 hit. So now, see if we can finally top out within the zone, but just let Bitcoin do its thing. I'll keep covered calls open and I'll accumulate as appropriate. But overall view is letting this move finally come down, an overall proper correction from the all-time high. That's what I'm looking for. We come down sub 50s, strong buying opportunity, and then from there, at least I won't expect much downside, and then just taking advantage of fluctuative moves as the price goes up higher, with 170k plus as my next bull market top. Now these are all conservative levels. I'm not trying to stretch out or be greedy with this. There's just a lot of factors that play into an asset that's still fairly new in my opinion, but I do see optimistic future for it. But this is going to be, as of right now, and this will modify, this will change as time goes on, but I'm factoring in Bitcoin's previous, price action much far into the past. So yeah, 170k to 170k to 238,000 is what I'm targeting next. But until then, in order for me to be aggressively bullish in my position sizing, I want to see this get filled after a corrective move. Just because I also want to see this ascending uptrend, support line get respected again. It makes a lot of sense. And then also CPI came out, I think it was earlier today. Yeah, it's higher, right? So we got to keep in mind that this could push down these assets more. A lot of tensions in the eastern areas. You guys already know if you keep your eye on that. There's a lot of stuff going on. So as it unfolds, we'll see how the price action happens. But the sooner we go down, the better. So we can grab that value. But until then, Mara stock, we might have a good shorting opportunity. And then I'm looking for around $3 eventually in the future. But as of right now, waiting for this to play out. Yeah, so I'm just repeating myself. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one.